So what we've got back here is our Sportscraft swivel seats for our Sprinter. And we've got a passenger swivel and a driver's swivel. Also known as a craft fart. Lovely instructions in German. We do have a set that's instructions in English, thank goodness. So we're going to install these babies on those babies. Alright, so first thing you want to do is disconnect the seat belt. You can see I've already kind of done that here. It's a T50 Torx bit to get that out. There's the bit there. And then your next step is going to be taking out these first two bolts in the front of the passenger. So we'll do that right now. There's one. Let's get this on. All right.
We're good.
All right, and then next we're going to just remove these rear bolts. So we don't have any wiring to the seats, like any heated seat or anything like that. So once we get these off, it's just a matter of pulling the seat up and back so that we can install the swivel base. There she is. Okay, so basically what you want to do is just set up the swivel base on top of the pedestal of the seat. And so it's got the swing arm, right? So when you lift the swing arm, it's going to start to turn like that, right? And so we want to get at these holes right here for the pedestal so that we're getting this secure. And so the instructions say basically just to get it in finger tight to start, and then we can start screwing everything down once we have all of them in, all four corners. So there's one, there's another. So finger tight on those, and then let's do the back real quick. And then this fourth one is tapered to match the taper of this last corner. Alright, we'll need to screw that in. So, next step, just wait till I get it going. Okay, there we go. There it goes. Come back and tighten them as we move along. Alright, great. So next thing to do, now we've got the seat back on, is we're gonna get these bolts, these back bolts into there. Okay, so we've aligned the back rails of the seat with the swivel base, which is a little bit tricky. So we actually didn't get that on video, but you can see that they're now, we just, threaded the bolts in finger tight so far. And now we're going to tighten them up a little bit before we get to the front bolts. So we'll do that real quick here. Go ahead. Alright, that's probably fine for now. So you can see the rails on there on the pedestal. So now we're going to move the seat towards the back and we're going to hit the bolts in the front real quick.
Yes. We are now on VCR.
Yeah. Beta.
Be kind, please rewind.
Exactly. Alright. And the second one. Alright, so now we'll go around and we'll just tighten up each 4 corners real quick, and then we'll give it a test run. Alright, so we've tightened down all 4 bolts, including the ones in the back. Now we're going to give it a test run. So we moved it back. Now just lifting the handle that you see there, and it's swiveling. Look at that. Takes a little bit of muscle,
Yeah.
but there we go.
Awesome.
Alright, so one of the things that you guys will hear on the forums or on YouTube videos of this install is that typically the seats have this overhang, this plastic overhang, and it runs into the pedestal when it swivels. And so what we want to do is cut it down a little bit so that it has room to clear the pedestal. So you can see it right there. It just barely hits the pedestal when you're moving the seat, and it's just awkward, and eventually we'll make this plastic break at some point. And so we're just marking it off. We're gonna cut it with a cutting wheel, and then we'll just sand the edges. So we'll show you that. Okay, so now let's show you how it clears the base. You can see it clearing the pedestal now that we've cut it off. And I'm going to show you this side as well as she turns it around. See how it's just barely over that base now. And it's clearing the pedestal. So I'm just going to keep turning, and there it is, nice and smooth. Perfect. There we go. Alright, so we are all done installing the passenger side swivel seat. So Michelle's going to demo it for us. Swivel, swivel, swivel. Booyah! Look at that. All kinds of room. Works great. On to the driver's side.
Okay.
There's a little clip right there. I'm just gonna pop nice and clean underneath. That's not so much. Okay. And now we want to disconnect these wires right here. There's 2 wires. If you go over to this side, you can see both of them. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and disconnect each one. It's a little bit trickier and I don't want to screw it up, so just be careful. It's really in there. There we go. Obviously, you know, make sure your ignition's off and all that crap if you're messing with wiring. Which ours is. So, there we go. Next. Okay, so what we have is this mounting bracket. Comes with the installation kit, 2 bolts, and then they've got some holes in it. If you go down, you can see those 2 holes are basically what the handbrake bolts will now connect to. Basically just moving it down a little bit further. So we're going to just screw these in tight and then we'll reattach our handbrake from there. Okay, bracket is in. Check that out. Alright, next we'll reattach the handbrake. Alright, so we're going to just reconnect our wires. Small blade connector on the small blade. Large blade connector on the large blade. Or was it the other way around? Just kidding. Yeah, this one was hard to get off, and now it's being hard to get on. There it goes. Alright, so that one's on. That one's on. And then next, we're going to connect our handbrake to these bolts down here. If we take a look at the bolts on the bracket, and these will just line up to there. So let's get those on. Alright, so we've got, come up here. So we've got the original bolts into the bracket. You can see that black bracket between the handbrake now. And so now we just need to put our cover back on this thing. So we're gonna we just snapped it back into the piece there that's down there. Just snaps back in, and then we're just gonna put the cover back over the top. And you want to actually get it in. There's some grooves on here. And I don't know if you can get that on there or not, but either way, there's just some grooves on there that you want to make sure that you get onto the this is a pain.
There we go.
Yeah, it's basically on there.
Alright.
Alright, so we've got the swivel seat on the driver's side. We've just put the base down. The installation is going to be exactly the same as the passenger. So we'll get past all that basically. And we'll come back to you once we've got the driver's side seat installed. And then we'll test that it's working. Alright, so here we have it. Swivel seats are installed. Got them facing backwards. It's going to be awesome. Really happy with how they turned out. You can see the handbrake is positioned lower now. We also cut off the sides of the plastic on the driver's side so that it could clear the handbrake and clear the base. You can see that on both sides. So that turned out really well. And I think that's probably it. Hey guys, one other adjustment that needs to be made. There's a bracket underneath the van that the brake line runs to, and that needs to be adjusted. Since you've adjusted the parking brake handle, now go under the van and find this bracket. It's about in the middle of the van. To adjust it, simply loosen the 2 bolts, move the bracket, and then tighten down the bolts again. It's great to do this with a partner who can pull on the brake handle while you're under the van so you can see the lines engage. Also, you can park the van on a slight slope, put it in neutral, utilize the parking brake, and make sure that it's engaging. Once you've done that, you're good to go. Cheers.